the calm before the storm. Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. I'm really not into updates and stuff like this, but so many of you have been coming in and asking, and I'll just keep doing it. Again, the fires are slightly north of us, so we're a little bit south. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of evacuations going on, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch a lot of the news. It is so heartbreaking. I am now finding out another YouTuber that I do watch. I believe his name is Benji Plants. It is so sad that he lost his home in Altadena. And I know there's a lot more. Like I said, I believe I already updated you that my sister's really good friend, best friend, lost his home. I don't think he's talking to too many people right now. Some people are not in the mood to talk. They didn't even know for days what happened to him. Another friend of mine told me that she's waiting on her friend to find out if they lost their house, but his mother lost their restaurant, and that was by the Malibu area. There's been just so much going on. And then I have my sister's best friend. I've known them since my sister was in kindergarten. We were in the same grammar school. She had to evacuate out of the Pacific Palisades. She has not been able to get back to her home. Her husband's business made it. It's in that area, so that business made it as well. She found a place to live in Encino. It was her birthday the other day, so my sister and a few of their friends got together at the restaurant. She gets a call. She has to evacuate her new place in Encino. It's going into the fire. The fire is coming. So she had to go leave the restaurant, evacuate, and I heard she went back to the restaurant. I will keep you up to date. The thing is, today it's supposed to be calm. It's actually very warm. We're going to be about 78 degrees. We have very strange weather for winter. I've got squash growing. I shouldn't be growing squash right now. I mean, I've already got fruit on it. It makes no sense. I'll keep you up to date. Now, a lot of you have been asking me about insurance. Well, everybody's got insurance. Let me tell you something. We've been canceled twice. And as it stands right now, we're not even sure if we're going to have insurance after next month. We are insured at this exact moment. I did call and find out about that. If you are in an area, and see, we've got the hillsides there, and even though we do weed abatement and everything, they have the option to cancel you. So a lot of people in the fire areas did not have insurance. Now, okay, so they're going to pick me up, let's say in about a month from now, on the insurance. They won't give me the price. I said to him, you're supposed to send me a bill. And he said, yes. I said 90 days before. And he said to me, no, this is the insurance. It's a big company, all right? He said, no, we send it out 60 to 90 days. I said, all right, 60 to 90 days, do the math. We're way past the 60 already. He didn't know. I think they're holding back. Now, when they redo it and they tell me my insurance, am I going to even be able to afford it? I used to have earthquake insurance for so many years. It started out, it was, $500. Okay, I'll pay the $500. And then it was $800. Then it went into the thousands. I couldn't afford it. And reading the fine print on earthquake insurance, it depends on your policy, I understand. I would have had to come up with the first $40,000 before they would even pay anything for my earthquake insurance. So at that point, I dropped it many years ago. Now, what's going to happen with the fire insurance on a lot of people? I don't know, but we right now have fire insurance, and I'll tell you something. If they send me a bill for 10 grand, I'm not going to be able to pay for it. I'm going to be honest, like a lot of people, it could be 20 grand. They can charge you anything they want. Then you've got the amount that they'll pay. First, you have to pay a certain amount up front. I don't know what that is in case of a fire. It could be $5,000, it could be $20,000, it could be $50,000, and then they'll pay the balance. But the balance doesn't mean everything. It goes back to what your house was worth at the time. So you calculate that in. They have a set amount. But every month, it seems like, but let's say every year, they change the regulations. You can't build a house in some areas with gas anymore. So you can't use gas. It has to be all electrical, okay? And you have to have solar panels. Do you know how much it costs to turn your house solar? They've got so many new stipulations added that it takes so long to get it done, and that won't be covered in my insurance. There's so many things that are going to add up. Let's say I'm lucky enough, just talking about this in case something happened and I built a house. my property taxes will now go to the new value. So if my house was worth, I don't know, let's say $500,000, but I now build a new house, they're going to reevaluate and go, hey, oh, it's a brand new house. Gee, it's got solar now you had to pay extra for, and it's got this and that. It's worth $3 million. You don't know if you'll ever sell it for $3 million. Now you're going to pay property taxes on $3 million because they're going to reevaluate the house. There are people like me that are living in a house for so many years that it keeps the property taxes down. Now, it was supposed to be 1.5% of the value. They've changed that. Because they can't legally change it because the voters voted it in, what they do is they add on fees. So now they can say, we need more because we're going to do something for the children at the school, like we're paying. So now you pay $1,500 for that. Or they're going to add something else on, or they're going to need different street signs somewhere, or they're going to need more money for the homeless, and they keep adding on what's called fees. And that's why your property taxes in Southern California goes up, because they figured out they can't raise the taxes, but they can do it by fees. Now, some people said they stayed. They stayed to fight to save their home, and they did. Let me tell you something right now. In this state, I don't know how, without making a ton of money, how anybody can buy a home. The only reason I have this house that I live in is because when I was in my teens, I bought a house. And I was, believe you me, I had family members trying to talk me out of it. They offered me money. You know, I'll give you $1,000. I'll give you $2,000. Don't buy. Let me tell you something. My dad imprinted on me that the most important thing, if you can do it, is property. Get yourself something. He always talked about it, and it really made an impression on me. So at a very young age, I went looking for a house in a place where nobody wanted to live. Believe it or not, nobody wanted to live where I found the house. It was an accident that I actually found the area, which was Sunland. I came out of the city of Los Angeles, and I actually went to buy a bird from somebody, and he was living in Shadow Hills. And I loved it. It like farmland right out of LA. I mean, literally a 30-minute drive on busy streets. And then he said, take a drive, take a look, a little up the block. And I went up there and I found Sunland, and I decided that's where I want to live. Well, Sunland, let me tell you something. Back in the early 70s, like 1970, I will tell you that you could buy homes there for $10,000. I looked at them. Unfortunately, I went inside the house, and I did like the property, but it was really hard to think about buying one of those when you can stand in the house and see your backyard through your walls. So I figured maybe that wasn't a good idea. My first house was under $20,000. It was tough, but you know what? Getting an FHA loan at the time, $150 a month, I could swing it. If I didn't get the first house, I wouldn't be here today, what I'm saying. And you need to be able to have a down payment. Back then, you could get an FHA loan. You didn't need any down payment. The house to me is important. The property is important. I understand I have the property. I understand that. What I'm trying to make a point on that is because the property is the most important thing to me, even if there was no house and it was burned to the ground. A lot of these people wouldn't be able to rebuild. Maybe they don't want to live in a fifth wheel. Maybe they haven't thought about it, or a little tiny house put on the property. They're scared. And at that moment, when you see everything you worked for your entire life going, or you inherited it. A lot of people inherited property. And that's why they were in all these different areas, whether it was Pacific Palisades, Eaton, or anywhere, going towards the valley where the homes were burning last night, I think, the night before. If you inherited it, how in the world are you going to do anything else? I mean, things have changed now. There's so many costs. Anyways, I don't want to get political on this at all. What I'm trying to say is it's really sad that so many people in so many areas where these fires are burning have owned their homes for 40, 50, and 60 years, which keeps their property taxes down because it goes back to basically the value of when they paid it, and then they get to add every year a certain amount on, but they're not going to be paying millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars for property taxes or on, property taxes for the houses because they've been there so long. Same with me. Now, so many of them said they won't be able to ever build because of the property tax increase, because of the cost of what it's going to cost to build and the minimum time to build a house, they're saying now in California, Southern California, is 3 years. You know that. You watch that big yellow house up the hill there. I don't know if you can see it behind me. There it is. That house was over 5 years they were building it. 5 years. Every time an inspection came through, they had to stop. And if something had to be changed, or maybe it doesn't work this way, or you can't build it this way or that way. 5 years. Now, they're saying they're going to rush it. That's really good, but rush it to what point? And then where are you going to get all the builders and material and all this stuff? I have no idea what's going to be. We have a lot coming, not even counting the rains that will come at some point. See, I lived in Sunland when there was a fire there, a really bad one. The next winter, there was flooding that down Sunland Boulevard, Foothill Boulevard, they had 2 feet, 3 feet of mud. There were areas you couldn't even walk. It came out of the hillside straight into the city, and we were covered in mud. I don't know what's going to happen with all this stuff. So you're asking me about insurance. I don't know what other people have. I have decided, and Gary and I talked yesterday, and we talked again this morning, that if they do reinsure us for fire or whatever, it will be whatever, and we can't afford it, we're just not going to pay it. We'll try to keep liability if they'll cover liability. This is what we'll work on. And if something happens, we'll get a fifth wheel. I own a camper. A friend of mine had this tiny little camper and he wanted $200. I bought it. Why? It puts a roof over my head. It's got a little stove in it. It's got a sink. It has a little porta potty. You wouldn't use that. It puts something outside. And I could live in that if worse came to worse. Gary and I would get a fifth wheel or get one of those prefab homes now you can get for $50,000, a tiny house. I would do it that way. I'll tell you right now, where I'm living now and where I've ever lived, this sounds crazy. I have never bought a property for the house. It was always the first thing I did was walk through the backyard, walk the property, and then go inside. I remember seeing a house years ago. I went to a place in Tujunga because I wanted to live there. And I walked around the property. They wanted me to go inside. And I stepped out, put my hand up. I waited. They probably thought there was something wrong. I turned to the owner who was there that day. Big mistake on the realtor because the house was nice. Everything was nice about it. When does the wind stop? I could feel the breeze, the constant breeze. And he turned around and said to me, never, it's coming through the canyon. I was done. I wasn't going to buy that. So there's been a lot of properties I analyzed. Even here, I did analyze it, and the area I'm in, though we do get wind and stuff, doesn't get a lot of wind. It seems like we're in an odd canyon, but we're actually the way we're facing, we rarely get wind. The only wind we're getting now is from building the city back there up. All the cement, with the parking lots and the shopping malls now has created heat, and it rises and comes in. But normally before that, I had all kinds of wind toys out and everything. I've been here since the 80s. And with that, there was no wind, but now we have a little bit of a breeze. So we're in an area that's okay. Now, are we going to get hit with this new windstorm coming in? Probably, because they said it is going further south. And now they don't know what's going to be. We do know that we have been told, and we're on fire watch right now, because if anything was lit around here, and we have a slight breeze, I don't know if you can see it. My neighbor called me and she said it blew so hard last night. I think I finally fell asleep on the couch. I heard some wind. Something would start, we'd be here. Now, the other thing is, some of you have been saying, would you leave? I don't know. I'm going to tell you I don't know. It's Gary and I. The first thing I would do, we would have some friends come up, I know that, is pack up the animals. Whatever we can grab. I can't do the hummingbirds. And throw them in the car and say, get them out of here. From then on, if it's not a heavy wind-driven, fire, I will tell you that I will want to stay. Now, Gary's into, he's came from Australia, bushfires, all that. I know he would want to stay. I would want to stay. Is it crazy? Maybe, but this is the way I feel, and I have the right to feel the way I want. I would stay for as long as I possibly could. I know ways out from here. I know I've got a way out that way, I've got a way out that way, and I've got a way out that way. I would not be trapped. Would I be able to drive? I don't know, but there's also ways to go through on foot. So I would stay for as long as I could, because there are people right now in Altadena and the Pacific Palisades. They saved their homes because they stayed. They didn't see a single fire truck. One man said, I watched it, that if there would have been one fire truck on that entire cul-de-sac and block, it was a big block, they would have saved every home. He saved 3 homes by putting out spot fires. So that's, that's why I can't answer you. If it is not a strong wind driven fire, I am ready. I'm ready with wool blankets. I'm ready with water. Gary is filling trash cans and barrels and everything today all around our property, because I found out that we are in a pump system that brings our water up to us, because I don't know if you can see it, but the water tanker is behind me back there. So they have to pump it from there to here. Now, I'm sure they have backups. I have lost water. That's not true. We have lost water multiple times. In fact, when they were going to repair the water once, and they said they found a leak, they were going to shut the water off when it was a high wind warning. Another time, this was a few years ago, and there was a fire watch. I called the city and had it out with them very nicely and said, if you shut the water off from morning till night today when we're on a high fire watch, you are aware. And I just talked to them the way I usually talk to people. And guess what? They canceled it and they fixed it after the wind, because they can wait on a leak. We have the fire hydrants and everything working. So I don't know what will be. I will keep you up to date. We're fine. We are below the fires if you're heading like towards San Diego. We're not in San Diego. We're nowhere near San Diego. But I'm just trying to give you an idea that the fires right now are a little bit north of us. Can we see them? If Gary climbs up there, he can see them. And the smoke and everything, but it can shift at a moment's notice because we have hills around here. There were some fires in our area, but they got them right out. I don't know if you can see all the hummingbirds. This has been unreal. And I know they're being driven out of the hills because the hills are right up there where all the fires are, so they're just coming down to us, and that's perfectly fine. We look like we're in the hills, but those mountains are a little bit higher and we're a little bit lower. And the beach is that way. So anyways, we're okay. We're very diligent on everything we do. We have good common sense, believe it or not, even though some of you might say no, but we do. And we would look at the situation at the time and decide what we're going to do. I have stayed here before when there was a fire. I have stayed in another area when there was a fire. I know that fires can be very dangerous. I understand that. But if it's just spot fires you're dealing with, you can save your property. We have hoses, we have water, and we'll pray. And we're working with our neighbors. I'm working with the neighbor across the hill, and my neighbor down the hill, and now my other neighbor on that side. We've been keeping in touch. My neighbor called me this morning again to go over everything. She's got a lot of animals. That'd be the first thing she'd do, is get as many animals out. She doesn't know if she'd stay. I don't blame her. Her house is tucked away a little differently than mine. Mine's open. Hers is tucked in with a lot of trees. Gary's actually gone through and trimmed a lot of trees. We had, you can't tell, but way down there, we had a lot of eucalyptus trees. He dropped them. He knew how bad eucalyptus trees were, so he decided one day he didn't want them, and he dropped them and cut them up. We have citrus trees. Anything can burn, but if you look at the houses that burned, I noticed a lot of the citrus trees were still standing. They were a little scorched. So he got rid of trees that would be bad in a fire. So I'll keep in touch with you. Some of you said, oh, it's so nice to see you in front of a camera. I like being behind the camera. That's my thing. I'm not really big on being in front. But I'm doing the best I can with all this. I actually worked in the garden this morning. I got up and did some stuff. I'm going to probably do the same tomorrow. It makes me nervous every time I feel a little wind, because they're calling for gusts that could get as high as, I think they said last night, 80 miles per hour, but they're not sure. We're supposed to get them to come through here about 30 to 40. That's bad. It depends if it misses us. It is possible it can come through a different way. No, we are windy. That's what my neighbor called. It's windy. Well, we're here and we're watching and we're ready with water. I will keep in touch with you. I'll keep you updated. Again, we're not in the fire area. We're okay. And we'll see how all this goes, and hopefully we can get through this. Unfortunately, this new windstorm that's coming in, It's supposed to come in tomorrow, not today. We're supposed to have a little quiet today on Sunday. Okay, not counting the dogs barking. It's supposed to come in tomorrow. I'm not sure what time tomorrow, and it's supposed to stay now until Wednesday night. So it's going to be a 2-day ordeal, and that's why we're getting ready, and Gary's been running around filling water. So everybody take care. My heart goes out to all of those. I can't even imagine what they're going through. I really don't know. It tears me apart. So anyways, everybody have a wonderful day. As I always say, don't forget to eat what you grow. If you're not growing something, grow something. It's so important because I'll tell you, I didn't make a green drink today. That gives me energy and it keeps me going. And all it is, it's so simple. It's collecting greens, blending it up and drinking it. And I feel the difference. And I better get 2 of them in me today. So have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. And thank you for all your best wishes, and do your prayers for the people that are involved in all this. Everybody that lost their homes, their vehicles, their stores, and lives now. So many people they're looking for, and there's so many people that are missing. Okay, I better end this. I need to get stuff done. Take care, everybody. Love you all. Bye-bye. Wow, there's a lot of hummingbirds. Well, at least the stuff is full. The feeders are full.